welcome back to another episode of the Fresh Five. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh. This is the show where I like to talk about 5 things, flesh and blood, in 5 or so minutes. And this week I wanted to talk a little bit about the card Shatter. But not the card Shatter itself, but what is on the art and what the implications of Shatter is. So, Shatter has this really cool axe on the art. Now, it also refers to two-handed weapons in the card. Now, this could be just a coincidence, but right now the two big two-handed weapons for Warrior are Dawnblade and Raiden. So, as you may notice, there is no axe that is two-handed. We got some one-handed axes, but we're not going to talk about them. So I wanted to take a look at what some possible axe designs that we can get for this really cool looking axe on Shatter. I mean, it looks amazing. So first up, we have Freshbud Battle Axe. This is a card I designed. All these cards I designed. This one attacks for 4. It costs 2 resources to attack, but going with the theme of Shatter, it cares about your opponent's equipment. So when it attacks, it gets +1 attack for each -1 defense counter on equipment that the defending hero controls. So, you know, it kind of punishes temper, battle worn especially, and it, you know, thematically makes sense as the equipment and armor gets weaker, this battle axe is going to get stronger. And then next up, we have a card I like to call the Buttle Axe. This card hits pretty hard for 6, but it is also a once per turn action for 3 resources, but it has the nice little tie-in with the equipment again, saying that when it is blocked by a piece of equipment, at the end of the combat chain, you get to destroy that equipment. Now, you'd say maybe, oh, why would they ever block with it? But if you are attacking, if this your whole strategy is attacking with this axe, they're going to have to block with their equipment at some point. So I think it'd be pretty sweet. The 3 cost is, I think, fair. Might be a little bit pushed, but that's what we're doing with this. We're pushing the limits a little bit. So the next one is something a little more, I guess, creative or out there, is the Bud Axe. I mean, literally in this card, I'm creating a new counter. It has a once per turn action to pay 1 resource to attack. It attacks for 3, but whenever you attack with it, you put a blood counter on it. And then whenever it hits, you may remove 3 blood counters from it and destroy opposing hero's arsenal. So maybe a little bit too strong. The wording there is a little bit wacky. It might have to be limited to be like have 3 counters put on it. But that being said, I think it'd be cool to have that as a really neat strategy. But the 1 resource might be a little bit too much. Should maybe start at 2 damage, but I digress. Next, we have a card called Fresh Axe Wax. Once per turn action, attack for 5 for 2 resources, and when it is attacking, defense reaction cards cannot be played. So I think what we saw on the Dreadboard card from Everfest was pretty sweet. This might be pushing it a little bit further. Maybe a little bit too strong, but I think it's cool. Notice I said card, so Oldham can still do his defense react, whatever. But something along this lines, maybe not exactly that 5 power level, but I think that would be a really neat way to have like a top-down design for an axe. And then lastly, we have the Fresh to Death. This is interesting one. I think this one is pretty cool. Like, I think we could see some really cool deck building around this in terms of like when you want to attack with your axe, not like necessarily every turn. So what it does is it has 6 attack and has a once per turn action. attack for 1 resource. At the end of turn, if Fresh to Death had attacked, put a -1 counter on it. So essentially, over 6 attacks, I guess you get, if my math is right, 21 damage over 6 attacks. Obviously, the later attacks get so much easier to block. This could be an interesting finisher card for Warrior that doesn't necessarily care about attacking with their weapon, but needs that kind of like big potent finisher, because 6 and 5 for 1 resource, 6, 5, and 4 for 1 resource is very strong. So that's kind of where I was kind of landing with these axes. I think these are just some, very, very rough draft kind of axe designs, but it'd be really neat to see this 2-handed axe. I'm excited for it. And they should definitely use any one of those names that I used for the axe. I mean, don't worry about it. Free ideas for you guys. But yeah, so that is this week's Fresh 5. I've been your host, Tommy Fresh. Please check out the podcast, Fresh and Buds, and check out the links below. It's my Twitter. We have an awesome Discord called The Buds, where we run cool community-based events, and we all chat all the time and have a good time. So that will do it for this week, and hopefully everybody's having a great time with Everfest, and hopefully we see an axe like this sometime in the future.